Hi, welcome to this session on securing hybrid environments, what current cloud security strategies get wrong. My name is Raghunanda Kumara, and I'm head of industry solutions at Illumio, the zero trust segmentation company. So we're all aware that today's cloud landscape is complex, vulnerable, and it's widening daily. Think of a myriad of attacks. Let's go back 5-6 years to attacks like CloudHopper, which exploited vulnerabilities in an organization's cloud presence to then find an ingress into that cloud environment, which they then traversed to ultimately land in the organization's corporate network. All because that cloud account was not secured properly. Or how about earlier this year, when it was revealed that a hacking group was able to exploit a Microsoft Cloud flaw to access email accounts linked to dozens of government agencies. These are just two examples of a huge number of cloud security incidents that have come to prominence over the last few years. So it's clear that cloud security is top of mind. And as more and more organizations move to the cloud and continue to embrace essential cloud security technologies, whether that be cloud security posture management, CSPM, or cloud workload protection, CWPP, or CNAP, or CIEM, or other 4 or 5-letter acronyms to represent different categories of cloud security products, still fundamental security gaps exist. And even as cloud adoption has accelerated, it's clear that organizations are still struggling with cloud security. According to research conducted by Vance and Bourne, cloud breaches are significant, they're costly, and they're pervasive. And while the opportunities posed by cloud are immense, the ability to spin up infrastructure at the scale that we demand in almost an instant, to be able to adopt the latest and greatest technologies without significant investment in infrastructure, to be able to get that step ahead of our competition through easy technology innovation. Despite all of those opportunities that cloud provides, the threats themselves are also significant and fairly critical. At a time when the majority of organizations store their most critical data in the cloud, nearly half of data breaches suffered over the past year have stemmed from the cloud. And as we continue to adopt cloud at an incredible pace, that percentage is only going one way, and it's not down. Also, the average organization has lost nearly $4.1 million due to cloud breaches in the past year. That's a huge, huge amount. And in today's hyper-connected hybrid world, the reality is that organizations are waiting to be exploited if they haven't been already. It's a case not of if, but really it's when. And really doubling down on that, it's not just the critical data that's at risk. We're not just putting our most critical data and sensitive data in the cloud. We're also moving at a huge pace so many of our critical applications, the ones that are fundamental to the success of our organizations. And that number of critical applications running in our cloud environments, again, is only going to increase as we continue to migrate services and digital transformation efforts continue to accelerate. So as a result of this, all our critical data, or the majority of our critical data in the cloud, franchise critical applications, essential applications to productivity, to profit, to operations, as they continue to run in the cloud. The lack of insufficient cloud security puts both the data and the apps at risk. So organizations have to worry not just about ensuring confidentiality and integrity of their most sensitive data, the C and the I of the CIA cybersecurity triad, but they also need to keep in mind the availability of their most critical applications. And this combination of impacting confidentiality, integrity, and availability, this can impact revenue, business operations, and ultimately damage reputation if downtime occurs. As we've already established, organizations are worried about the impact of cloud breaches on their business. Data from the Vance and Bourne research shows that with breaches and AI-enabled threats on the rise, and yes, attackers already have access to AI to build even more sophisticated strains of ransomware and malware, organizations are worried about their cloud security posture. So, when asked what their greatest worries were, here is how the respondents listed their top 5 concerns. 38% said they're worried about reputational damage and loss of trust. 36% were worried about sensitive data loss. 35% also said they were concerned that their revenue-generating services were going to be significantly impacted. 33% also spoke about a worry about a loss of productivity. And 31% were concerned about the cost of recovery and having to make that hard choice between paying a ransom and hoping and praying that the attacker would release their data, unlock their systems, and disappear from their environment, never to be seen again, hoping that that data wasn't going to be misused in the future, or to take that stance of refusing to pay the ransom and hoping and praying that they were able to fully restore and recover the entirety of their infrastructure. So, with cloud security top of mind, why is it that the current approaches are falling short? Because it's not like we're not spending on cloud security. We clearly are, but there's still gaps in our coverage. Why is that? Organizations aren't confident in their ability to stand up to cloud threats and the risks posed by hyperconnectivity in the cloud. This is risky because in the cloud, you're one misconfiguration away from being exposed to the internet. Let's just think about that again. This is the important part, and this is what differentiates cloud security from security in an organization's data center. And of course, we can argue that there's lots of minutiae and there are lots of nuances that differentiate securing assets in the cloud versus securing things in the data center. But ultimately, why are we so much more paranoid about securing our cloud environments? It's for that single reason. For resources in the cloud, for assets in the cloud, for data in the cloud, a single misconfiguration can allow that resource, that data, that asset to be directly accessible from the internet. And we know once it's directly accessible from the internet, that's fair game for the attackers out there. So this is why cloud security is of so much importance. And while we've had this plethora of different cloud security technologies out there, I mentioned earlier, CSPM, CWPP, CNAP, and many others, gaps still remain in coverage. Organizations still suffer from a lack of confidence in their cloud security posture. So why is this the case if they've invested so much in technologies that are fairly mature? Well, more than 6 in 10 respondents, more than 60% believe cloud security of their organization poses a severe risk. So they acknowledge they've still got gaps in their coverage. Over 9 in 10 are concerned that connectivity between their cloud services and on-premises environments increases the likelihood of a breach. So again, acknowledging that a key tactic that attackers leverage is lateral movement. And from an organization's perspective, from a defender's perspective, not having the ability to limit that, not having the ability to understand what that connectivity is, to be able to contain it, whether it's within the cloud or between the data center and the cloud or between multiple clouds, if we are truly multi-cloud, that's a significant concern. And 74% of IT and security decision makers say that their organization's current approach to security slows down cloud adoption. And this is a real challenge. Cloud has for long been associated with agility, the ability to instantly go and access services and technology and capabilities, to move our applications almost at the click of a button, and to be able to give us vast scale way beyond that we could easily provision in our data centers, right? So this promise of so much, and the result being business productivity, competitive advantages, and so on. But with that promise of easy access and quick access, the perception has been that security slows down that adoption. So while we need to improve the cloud security posture, and we absolutely have to be able to run these applications successfully and safely for a long period of time, we can't do that while sacrificing productivity, while sacrificing our ability to compete. And this fine balance is really where a lot of organizations struggle in being able to adopt the cloud with agility, but also with the right amount of security. So what else did cloud security professionals, cloud security experts, leaders say that they needed as part of this research? They said that 95% needed better visibility into connectivity from third-party software. This is really interesting because as we leverage more and more open source components, as we're building our own applications, the less and less control we have as to what those components are doing. And it's just not scalable to be able to fully test and interrogate every single third-party package that we download and incorporate into our code. However, we've seen incidents like Log4j, where the attacker is able to compromise those modules. And as a result, because of the dependency of so many other software, so many other applications on that module, that exploit then essentially has that sort of has that avalanche effect, right? Has that one-to-many effect, and suddenly everyone is vulnerable to that, to being compromised as a result of that vulnerability. So organizations need to understand what is this third-party code, this third-party component. What is it trying to do, right? Understand what is it trying to access, what is it trying to connect to. 95% also need better reaction time to cloud breaches, right? We talk about cloud ability, cloud scale, the ability to instantly access as much resource as we need to support our application. Well, if that's what we need from a productivity perspective, then from a security perspective, we need the ability to react to an incident, react to a breach that impacts that at a similar level of agility, if we have any hope of being able to limit the impact of that breach. So ideally, how can we react more quickly to contain and limit the propagation of attacks? And also 95% really want to reduce the amount of operational overhead for their security operations teams, right? Again, tying it back to that cloud scale, if security operations team have any hope of being able to provide the same level of oversight into a vastly expanded and significantly more dynamic environment, they need the technology that allow them to do that without having to grow their team by a similar amount. So they're looking for things that help them identify those key bits of information, helping them triage those incidents, helping them react quickly so they can go and contain the breach and really focus on that pocket of the environment that is impacted to go and remediate that. Ultimately, with all of this, what is at stake for organizations that don't get this right? It's cyber resilience. If you compromise an organization's cloud presence, there's a strong chance that critical operations will be impacted. And given that organizations are storing their most critical data in the cloud, a breach could easily become catastrophic. So, we've talked in detail about the problem. We've shown the data points that highlight that this is a real problem that cloud adopters, cloud security leaders are truly concerned about. So how do we overcome these shortcomings and restore confidence in cloud security? The answer is with zero trust. Well, you're probably thinking, how can the answer to everything these days in security, it seems to be zero trust? Well, let's think about this. What is zero trust addressing? Zero trust addresses the problem of implicit trust. That's what zero trust is designed to do. It's not about removing trust completely. It's reducing implicit trust as much as possible so that what trust you're giving to an environment, to an asset, to a resource, to data, is what it needs and only what it needs to complete that particular function, that particular operation, that particular key responsibility of that asset, that function of that asset. And as we spoke about earlier, what is the key challenge with cloud security? It's that a misconfiguration, a single misconfiguration in your cloud environment can result in excessive permissions to an attacker to continue with their attack. And it's not just excessive access, but it's direct access from the internet. So excessive permissions, excessive implicit trust in a cloud environment is a top culprit of today's proliferation of cloud breaches. So if that's the concern, then common sense says that we should adopt a strategy which reduces implicit trust in environments, offering bad actors as few freebies to work with as possible. And that's exactly what a zero trust strategy enables. It addresses the issue of implicit trust head on and says, focus on building explicit allow rules, explicit allow lists, right? Rather than trying to define all the bad things that you feel may impact your environment and trying to stop them. And we all know that there's a list of known bad things. Okay, we can define rules, deny rules to prevent those happening, to prevent that access. But what about the whole list of unknown bad things, right? Think of like a 0 day, right? Is an unknown bad thing. We don't know that vulnerability exists till someone shows that, hey, I can exploit this vulnerability that exists in this bit of software. And then we race to go and try and fix it, right? That's exactly the kind of scenario that a zero trust strategy is designed to help mitigate the risk of, right? Think about what are the things that you want your application, you want your assets to be able to do, and only allow them to do those things. So if anyone is trying to do anything else, you automatically see that there seems to be behavior here that you don't expect. This is why zero trust is so fundamental to building better security in the cloud. So with that, the key thing then is that, okay, great, I understand that this is the right strategy, but do my cloud security providers actually give me the tools to go and adopt the strategy? Well, the great answer is that yes, absolutely. If you look at how the services have been designed by those hyperscalers, whether that's AWS, whether that's Azure, whether that's GCP, they've actually by and large been designed to be consumed with zero trust security model in mind. So the foundation on which to adopt this exists. So if zero trust is the right strategy, then what is the essential tactic? What is one of the key tactics that we need to adopt in order to move forward with this strategy? Well, a key component of any zero trust strategy, a key tactic in any zero trust strategy is that of microsegmentation or zero trust segmentation. Zero trust capabilities like microsegmentation are proven to effectively mitigate the risk of an attack or contain an attack in the cloud. Zero trust segmentation is proven to effectively mitigate the risk of an attack or contain an attack in the cloud. And I repeat that intentionally because it's important to understand what we are doing here. We're providing both a preventative measure get in front of the attackers and limit what they can do in an environment, but also through this capability, we provide a reactive measure to be able to, as we detect something, we're able to contain, limit how far it can spread. So going back to the Vance and Vaughan research, 93% of IT and security decision makers believe that segmentation of critical assets is a necessary step to secure cloud-based projects. And 100% of organizations would stand to benefit from a proper implementation of zero trust segmentation. So it's real essential, important acknowledgement that zero trust segmentation, micro-segmentation is a valid, viable, and an essential component in any cloud security strategy. So how does zero trust segmentation improve an organization's cloud security posture? Well, it does it through the following ways. It enables continuous monitoring of cloud applications, data, and workloads. That's especially important with supply chain vulnerabilities, with third-party connectivity being such a prevalent concern. Again, go back to the example that we shared about Log4j, understanding how every component in your environment is interacting with other components in your environment and outside your environment as well. It offers insights into unnecessary connectivity that could result in exposure. Again, think back to if I know what the known good looks like in my environment and I build a picture of that, it quickly allows me to identify everything else that falls outside this. And importantly, it ties into, I can't defend against things I can't see. So with this visibility, with this understanding of known good, I have a very clear picture of all the other things that may be impacting me. And ultimately, we want to be preventative. We want the ability to get in front of the attackers. Microsegmentation, zero trust segmentation enables us to minimize the blast radius of an attack. We acknowledge that breaches happen. But if we're able to limit that, we're able to limit the propagation of that. We're able to give ourselves a significantly better chance of being able to survive that incident and maintain an acceptable level of operations. And according to Gartner, by 2026, 60% of enterprises working towards a zero trust architecture will use more than one deployment form of microsegmentation, up from less than 5% in 2023. So that's validation that adopting a zero trust strategy is essential for securing cloud environments. And zero trust segmentation is an integral pillar in any zero trust strategy. So as we wrap up, we've established why zero trust is the right strategy with which to approach cloud security. And we've also established why zero trust segmentation or microsegmentation is an essential tactic of any zero trust strategy. And as a result, it must be adopted properly in cloud, just as it is in the data center. In fact, I'd say microsegmentation in cloud is a non-negotiable. Why? Because it ensures a compromise in the cloud environment doesn't result in a catastrophic business incident, or to put it another way, in a $4.1 million price tag. Taking steps towards increased cloud resilience is about improving confidence in the security tools in your organization's arsenal. The research from Vance and Vaughan tells us that confidence in the cloud is rooted in end-to-end visibility, being able to see and respond to risk across cloud applications, workloads, and over complex infrastructure, systems, and environments. As your organization continues on your cloud journey, a zero trust strategy and segmentation as a key tactic to implement that strategy are at the crux of realizing the full potential of the cloud. Realize more benefits, see more threats, and better manage your risk. Thank you so much for your time today. If you'd like to learn more about how zero trust segmentation can help your organization better protect your cloud environments, come and speak to us at Lumio. Have a great day.